Good day, my storytelling friend. Welcome to the Golden Measure Show, where each day we take a step closer to greater prosperity. On today's show, we're talking about the obstacles on the hero's journey. And as a case example of that hero's journey, I am using a movie that my wife and I saw this past weekend on Netflix, and we watched the movie 5 Feet Apart. On that show, in that movie, we find two young uh, people who are in the hospital together, both dealing with cystic fibrosis. And in order for the promise of the story, which is love between the two, to emerge, there are some obstacles that they have to overcome. And I won't go too much into the details so you can enjoy the movie yourself. But we have the obstacles of the main character, of the hero herself, and that is Stella. And in the beginning of the movie, Stella is determined to be really faithful with her regimen in order to be able to survive for as long as she can with cystic fibrosis. Along the way, she encounters Will, who is on the opposite side of the uh, dedication to regimen philosophy. He realizes that the chances of him living a long and healthy life with cystic fibrosis are incredibly unlikely. And the other obstacle we have is cystic fibrosis itself. Cystic fibrosis is a terrible disease that really debilitates the lungs and makes it really difficult for people to breathe, and eventually they drown in their own fluids in the respiratory system. And what can we learn from the story in order for us to see how we overcome the obstacles that we have in our own story in getting to where it is that we want to go? And I classified 3 different types of obstacles that we encounter. We have the obstacle that we experience ourselves when we are Stella and we want to get to the journey, at the success at the end of the journey. Oftentimes we can be our worst enemy, and we can do things that keep us from really getting to where we want to go. There's also the obstacle of getting other people to buy into the story that we are telling, getting into the promise and being committed to finish the story, to do the work, to support us, and to make the changes that we would like our audience to make. And finally, there is the obstacle of the environment itself. And sometimes that environment can show up as settings such as the hospital in which Will and Stella find themselves. It can be the disease that they're encountering, which is cystic fibrosis. It can be, as we often encounter in our own lives, technology and the technology that we have available to us. In that, in maintaining their well-being, both Will and Stella have to use a lot of technology in order to have their lungs perform as well as they can, and to get the help that they need. So when you are looking at your own story, when you are looking at where you are right now and where you would like to be, what are the obstacles that are keeping you from getting to where you want to go? What are the obstacles that you're putting in front of yourself? What are the obstacles that your audience is presenting to you? And what is the obstacle of the environment, the world in which you live? How is that preventing you from reaching your desired destination. And by getting clear on the obstacles that you're facing, it'll actually help you to be able to find the strategies and the path that you need to find in order to succeed on the hero's journey. Until our stories meet again, be the bright light in someone's dark night. Ta ta.